You found the texts. You saw the evidence. The betrayal cut deeper than anything you've ever felt. But then, in a twist that shatters your entire reality, she gets angry. She blames you. She demands that you trust her again, sometimes even claiming you're the reason she strayed. Every fiber of your being screams for logic, for fairness. But in the psychology of attraction and betrayal, logic is a luxury you can't afford. Today, we're tearing down the wall of denial and exposing the raw, uncomfortable truths about why women cheat, why they demand trust after betraying it, and how this seemingly insane behavior is rooted in a twisted yet predictable set of psychological mechanisms that will either destroy your frame or forge you into an unshakable man. The phone lights up with a name you don't recognize, or you catch a glimpse of a text that rips your stomach out. The lie, the evasion, the betrayal, it's all laid bare. You're reeling, you're hurt, you're looking for answers, for remorse, for logic. But instead, you get gaslighting, you get blame, you get the ultimate mind-bending demand, you need to trust me again, or why are you so insecure? You drove me to this. Your entire world just spun off its axis. You were cheated on, and now you're the one on trial. How is this possible? How can someone betray your trust so fundamentally and then, with a straight face, demand that you fix their emotional deficit? The answer is profoundly uncomfortable, completely counterintuitive to everything society tells you, and absolutely essential to understand if you want to navigate modern relationships without having your emotional frame shattered. Today, we're tearing down the wall of denial and exposing the raw, uncomfortable truths about why women cheat, why they demand trust after betraying it, and how this seemingly insane behavior is rooted in a twisted yet predictable set of psychological mechanisms that will either destroy your frame or forge you into an unshakable man. If you're tired of being confused, hurt, and emotionally manipulated by illogical behavior, and you're ready to see the brutal truths about modern dating dynamics, then you need to commit to this channel. Hit that subscribe button right now. We pull back the curtain on these uncomfortable realities every single week, and you cannot afford to miss what comes next. Let's dissect this with 3 critical psychological insights backed by real-world scenarios. The first reason she cheats and then blames you is often rooted in a desperate attempt to restore her own sense of virtue and avoid cognitive dissonance. Imagine the internal conflict. She knows cheating is wrong, but she also did it. To bridge this gap and protect her self-image, her mind constructs a narrative where she is the victim and you are the perpetrator of her unhappiness. If she can convince herself, and ideally you, that your neglect, your lack of attention, your insecurity, or your emotional absence forced her hand, then she is not a betrayer, she is merely a reacting agent. She shifts the blame to alleviate her own guilt. And demanding your trust, despite her betrayal, is a test to see if you will accept this reframed reality. If you do, she is absolved. Consider Sarah. She had been with her husband Mike for 10 years. Mike was a stable, loving provider, but Sarah started to feel stifled, bored, and unseen. She started an affair with a charismatic coworker. When Mike found out and confronted her, Sarah's first reaction wasn't apology, it was accusation. You haven't been romantic in years. You never make me feel special. I just needed to feel alive again, and you wouldn't give that to me. Then she insisted that if Mike truly loved her, he would understand and trust her to fix things, implying his continued suspicion was the real problem. In her mind, Mike's perceived shortcomings created an emotional vacuum that justified her seeking connection elsewhere, making her the seeker rather than the betrayer. This narrative shift allowed her to demand trust, as if he was the one who owed her the emotional effort. The second reason is directly linked to hypergamy and the upgrade mentality. While she may claim emotional fulfillment as the reason for straying, often her subconscious is also performing an SMV, sexual market value, audit. If she found someone she perceives as having higher status, more excitement, or a stronger frame, her infidelity becomes, in her own distorted logic, a natural consequence of her biological drive to seek a perceived upgrade. When confronted, her demand for your trust isn't just about absolving guilt, it's also a test of your frame and strength. If you, the cheated-on man, become insecure, needy, and begging for her to stay, you are, in her subconscious, validating her decision to seek perceived higher value. Your emotional breakdown confirms that you are, indeed, the lower value option she should move away from. But if you remain stoic, unaffected, and walk away with your frame intact, you actually challenge her perception of the other man's value and reassert your own. Let's look at Jessica. She was dating Mark, a genuinely kind and attentive man who doted on her. She felt secure with Mark. Too secure, perhaps. She then met David, a man who was emotionally unavailable, challenging, and only gave her intermittent attention. She found herself incredibly attracted to David and began an affair. When Mark found out and confronted her with tears, asking, "How could you do this to us?" Jessica scoffed. "You're too sensitive, Mark. You just don't get it. I need a man who challenges me, not someone who's always there. If you can't trust me after this, then maybe we were never meant to be." Her demand for trust was a weapon to force Mark to accept her reevaluation of his value, justifying her pursuit of the perceived challenge that David represented. She needed him to trust her because that trust meant she hadn't made a mistake in her own hypergamous calculation. These are deep, often painful truths, but understanding them is the only way to build an unshakable frame. If you're tired of being emotionally manipulated and start reclaiming your power, make sure you hit that subscribe button right now. We're dedicated to bringing you the raw, unvarnished truth about female psychology that society doesn't want you to hear. The third, and perhaps most baffling reason, is tied to her own narcissistic injury and the need for constant validation.
Some women, when caught cheating, react with extreme anger and blame because their narcissistic self-image has been shattered. The act of being caught exposes their flaw, their imperfection, and their perceived loss of control. To escape this painful reality, they lash out, externalizing their internal shame and demanding that you validate their worth by trusting them despite their actions. Your continued trust, your continued presence, becomes a balm for their wounded ego, a proof that they are still desirable and worthy even after betrayal. Consider Emily. She had a history of infidelity in past relationships, always blaming her ex-partners for her actions. With John, she promised fidelity, but eventually began to discreetly text old flames. John, seeing the pattern, eventually confronted her. Emily's response was explosive. She accused John of being controlling, paranoid, and ruining her life. She cried that she couldn't believe he would do this to her, referring to his accusation, and demanded that he show her he truly loved her by getting over his insecurity and trusting her unconditionally. In her mind, John's suspicion was a direct attack on her flawless self-perception, and she needed his trust to rebuild that fragile ego, regardless of her own actions. His distrust to her was a personal affront that he had caused. The demand for trust in these scenarios is a profound and twisted test of your emotional frame. It's a desperate attempt to force you to abandon your reality in favor of hers. If you give in, if you concede, if you apologize, if you accept blame, you are not only condoning her betrayal, but you are shattering your own emotional foundation. The solution is not to engage in her twisted logic. The solution is to assert your unshakable emotional sovereignty. When faced with betrayal and gaslighting, your only response must be to calmly, definitively, and immediately remove yourself from her frame. You do not argue. You do not explain. You do not accept blame. You state your boundary, and you walk away. Your trust is a sacred currency, earned through consistent, verified loyalty. It is never, under any circumstances, to be given to someone who has unequivocally demonstrated their untrustworthiness. The man who truly understands this doesn't get drawn into her blame game. He understands her actions as data, and he uses that data to make an informed, self-respecting decision. Your value is inherent, and no one's disloyalty can diminish it unless you allow it.